Okay, hello again and welcome everybody to another webinar by Expats Portugal. Tonight we're featuring our great friends at Casa Portuguesa, who can assist you in finding a property to suit your needs. I have some personal experience of this because I did some work for one of our members to look at some properties that had been found by Casa Portuguesa, and I was so impressed with the properties they found, and they each matched the exact requirements of our member. And indeed, I think he signed up and took one straight away. So I think it is a good thing to consider working with a professional. I know, Carl, you've had some bad experience with not going through the professional, haven't we all?
Thank you.
And it's important, if you can't read a Portuguese contract, then you might want to have someone on your side that can. And so I think that's very important. So that's me done for now. Carl, over to you.
Well said. Thank you, Jerry. Yes, I have. And I may go into my personal experience if it's helpful tonight, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions from people. So put those into the chat this evening. Thank you for letting us know where you are this evening. We've got people with us from Madeira, from Travança, de Lagos, Tampa, Florida. Happy St. Andrew's Day. Thank you, Stuart. Good evening to you. Olá from Cymru Fach. Bless you. From Pedder as well over there in Wales. Santa Maria, California. We'll come back and say a few more hellos. The big hellos this evening. The big greetings are for Gilda Pereira from EI and Carolina Muralha from Casa Portuguesa. Gilda, of course, from the A team of A. And the founder, the idea came from Gilda for Casa Portuguesa. So maybe we should start there before we go and talk to Carolina and see the presentation this evening. Gilda, when did you have this idea and what were you thinking at that time?
Well, this idea came because, as you know, I founded EI, and all my clients came and asked for help. For real estate agencies, and then they all came back to me so frustrated because they didn't get the help needed, or they were just pushed to buy some houses that they didn't want to, because the real estate agencies wanted their commissions and just were showing the same products. And then I came up with this idea that actually at that time it was an idea that almost it didn't exist in Portugal, that it's like you have in France and in the United States, that it's called a buyer's agent, but in Portugal it was not common. And what happened was that I couldn't handle EI and Casa Portuguesa at the same time. So I had several partners, but along the time, but they all gave up because they said this idea is not going to work, because no one is going to pay for these services, while they can go to Remax or Idealista and have it for free. Well, it's not that is not the case, because if you go to Idealista, most of the times they won't answer you. Most of the times the houses are not in the market anymore. So it makes a big difference. And then to find houses that are actually on the market, to go with you and book the visits, to talk on your behalf because you are a foreigner, and if you go with a local, it will be much different. So yes, it's very different to do with someone that knows about the matters, or go by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And when was this, Gilda? When did you first have the idea?
It was like just 2 years after I created EI.
So some time ago then, and you had to go
Yes.
through that negativity of people. It's funny, isn't it, when people say, "Oh, that'll never work," and here you are, you've proven that it absolutely works, and we're here to talk
Yes.
about it tonight. So
But
thank you very much.
it was only 2 years ago that I really start with the girls, Carla, Carolina, and Anna, that I said, okay, I don't want partners anymore. Now I'm going to, with my team from EI, I'm just going to put this moving, and that's it.
Yeah. And how things have changed, because we had a brief chat before we started this evening. And as I recall, you were focusing on Lisbon and Porto. And now look, I mean, I was chatting with Carolina earlier on, the interest all over Portugal is incredible in so many different places now. So that vision, you're absolutely right. So well done. Congratulations on that vision. And here to talk about how it works on the ground day to day is Carolina Moralia as well. So Carolina, good evening to you. Thank you, Gilda, for the time being. And of course, we'll see you on the Dream Team session at 9 as well.
Of course.
So
Why,
you're working
of course.
hard
I'm
for us.
tired.
Thank you so much. Carolina, good evening to you. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Carl. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. How are you? Well, as Gilda said, as buyer agents, we provide a different kind of service, and this is what the webinar will stand on that, and I will explain why Casa Portuguesa is a different kind of service and why we can help you personally, and why this is an advantage for you.
Yes, absolutely. And if you want to queue up your presentation, I'll say a few more hellos. Yeah, thank you. Of course, our theme tonight is securing the right accommodation for your visa application. And there will be a lot of questions, I'm sure, relating directly to the visa process. And maybe, because that budget got approved yesterday, some talk about how that relates to people's processes as well. And I'm sure we'll pick up the budget and NHR conversation in the Dream Team session as well. So here we go. Thank you, Carolina. Over to you.
Okay, so hi everyone again. First of all, I would like to explain what is Casa Portuguesa and how can we help you in your journey to find your future home in Portugal. So first of all, is, as Gilda mentioned, we are buyer agents. This means that we don't have houses with us, and we do not have agreements with real estate agents. This makes the focus only on the client, which means we will look for apartments that will suit your needs, and we will be only focused on that. We don't receive any commissions because we don't work with real estate agencies, particularly with agreements. So we work with all of them and with owners. So this is an advantage because we can provide a wide range of options for you to choose from. And we will not settle until we find the apartment that will be your future home. Other thing that is an advantage as a buyer agent is that we don't want to sell the house. This means that once we go to visit an apartment, we will ask for the documentation of that apartment to see if everything is okay. For example, a documentation of an apartment is easier than a house itself. You can go to see an apartment in a beautiful building and the apartment looks amazing, but the documentation can tell us that the structure of that building, for example, is lacking and it needs work. And we can only know that from the documentation itself. So we will do that search and review for you to make sure that you will be in the right place and a secure place. So we are impartial, and what we want is to provide happiness. We want you to be happy on your future home. And to do that, we will do a profile search. With this, I mean that we want to know the clients, their needs, what they are looking for in the apartments. How many rooms do you want? What's the budget, the location? And with this information, we will look from the several websites there are with apartments and houses. And we also have our own contacts of real estate agencies that sometimes can give us options off market, which is always good because the contacts give us some views. The fact that we can see a house before going to the market is always an advantage, because they're going so fast that we have the opportunity to even buy it or rent it before it goes to even Idealista or other websites, which is always good. In case that you don't know where you would like to live, we have a service that is the sightseeing tour. This means that if you don't know if you want to live closer to the water, if you want to go to the countryside, if you want to go to a quieter city or a busiest one, we can help you with that. You just need to give us our preferences of what you expect to find within your future home. And with this, we will do a customized itinerary, and we will go with you to these places that we think will suit your needs. And we will give you our opinions regarding the neighborhoods, if this will suit you best, because you're looking for a flat neighborhoods. Campo de Rico, for example, it's a great option. You don't have many hills and ups and downs, which is great. So this is a great service for clients who are not sure about where to live. And you get to know a bit more about Portugal, its neighborhoods, its culture, and the purpose is to give you a more conscious decision of where you want to live. And you come with Portuguese people, which is always good, because we will drive you and walk with you for whatever you want. And whenever, what can I say? I'm trying to say that we will give these walks and tours truthfully, without the tourist side of everything. We will give you the real deal. The other thing that we do, once we do the profile of the clients and understand what they like best and their taste, we will start to send them options regarding their taste, and we will do the visits on their behalf in case that you want to rent an apartment and you are not here, which is 90% of the cases, because then you will go to the VFS appointment. We will do the visits on your behalf. And when I say that we take the visits personally, it means that we will look for these places as it was for ourselves. We will go to the apartment, we will look at all details, if it has humidity, if it doesn't, is there noise or not. For example, we had a client in Coimbra, and he was looking to buy, not to rent. And he was with us, and we did a visit, and the house was terrible, terrible. It has cracks, humidity all over. The foundations didn't seem right. The walls were funny. And we gave our opinion, and we said, we have more options to see. So we don't have a rush. You need to do the right choice. So we will look for more options and until we find the one. And we did a much better modern house. But by this, when you are not here, we will do videos of the apartments and of the surrounding area. We will also give distances. So how many minutes you are from the supermarket, the beach, or the school. We need all that information if you have pets, if you have kids, so we can do a search that fills all of your needs. One thing to have in consideration is that not all the boxes will be checked. So sometimes there are some things that we'll have to give in, but that's when the process is more ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once we find the apartments, we will do our legal department will do a review of the lease or the deed to make sure everything is according to the law, and which also gives comfort and security to the clients to understand that the agreement is correct. If the lease agreement is not in English, that many times it doesn't, we will explain the contract so you can have an idea of what are you reading and signing. After the signing is done, the payment has to be done after the signing so we can move forward. But I will explain that later on the questions. Once the contract is made, we will do the utilities next. So once you're here, everything is handled and you enter and the light is on, it's in your name, you have water, you can take a hot shower, so everything is taken care of so you can have a smooth transition and a quiet one, because we understand this is a big adventure for you, living in another country, moving to another. So we want to make sure that you have this process in the smoothest way possible.
That bit is especially brilliant, I think, because there are so many variables in the mix of moving country and moving into a new place, and to have somebody who knows what they're doing take care of those things so that it is literally turnkey is a whole lot of peace of mind. So it's such a good idea.
Yeah, and we also help with the furnitures. Imagine that you need to send a mattress. We can help with that. We can be at the house to make sure the mattress is there. So once you are at the apartment, you can have a bed to lie on, for example. We also help with that to make sure you can arrive and have a good feel of home, basically.
That's wonderful. And I'm guessing, Carolina, you carry around a little IKEA Allen key in your pocket as well, just to tighten things up as well. Superb. Okay, every home should have one.
Okay, so I will just pass for the most frequently asked questions. So the first one is, how many months the lease agreement must have? This is a common question we have. For your VFS appointments, you need to have a lease agreement of 1 year, 12 months. What is happening more is that we have landlords that prefer a 3-year contract. This is not to scare you, because you don't have to be 3 years in the apartment. You just have to fulfill 1/3 of the contract and give 120 days of notice. This means that in a 3-year contract, you have to be in the apartment for 1 year. And after 1 year, you can present a termination letter and give a notice of 4 months. So a 3-year contract means you have to be in 1 year plus 4 months in the apartment. So prepare, because this is getting common. Many landlords are avoiding 1-year leases, but prefer a 3-year one. Because if you have 1-year contracts, this means that you can terminate the contract 4 months and then give another 4 months of notice, so 8 months, and they will have to look again. And so we have to also understand the landlord's view in this matter and play with the law in our advantage. This is the termination before 1/3, after 1/3, excuse me. When does the lease has to start? So we have clients that think that they can have a lease agreement that can start after the VFS appointment. No, your contract has to already begin when you go to your VFS appointment. It has to be already activated. So this means that you will have to pay the rents, although you're not living in the apartment itself. It's the common situation is very unfortunate, because you're paying for an apartment that you are not living in. But the situation of the market today is that we don't have apartments, basically. There's a severe lack of offer. So the landlords give preference to those who are willing to enter immediately. So if you do an offer and you say that you only want to enter 3 months after, they will reject your offer right away. We always advise the client to do an immediate entry to make sure that the offer is accepted. So that this is a scenario that you will have to face, that is to be paying the rent, although you're not living in the apartment. other question is, how many rents do I need to pay, and what is a guarantor? So a guarantor is someone that it is in Portugal, that has funds in Portugal, and it doesn't have to be Portuguese, but it helps in the landlord's view to be Portuguese and having funds there, because it's, how can I say this? It's harder to leave the house unpaid. So the guarantor is someone that will cover the rents in your behalf in case you miss one. But since you're not Portuguese, you don't have a guarantor. So the landlords are asking for about 6 rents in advance. There are people who ask for 1 year in advance, so you can have an idea. From these 6 rents, we advise 4 in advance plus 2 for deposits. The deposit is the amount of money the landlord will keep until the end of the contract. This money can be used in case there is cases of neglect or bad use in the apartment. Imagine that you broke a chair or something. They can use that money. If you miss the rent, they can use that money, but it's not. But most of the cases, what happens is, at the end of the contract, there will be a mandatory visit to make sure everything is as it was delivered. And if it was, they will give you the money back entirely. This is important to, once you enter, to do a visit yourself, take videos and photographs and send it to the landlord to say, this is how I found the place once I arrived. And make sure that you have that documented, because once the contract ends, you have the proof that that wall didn't have any damage. Okay. Or it had that damage, but it was like this once you arrived, so you don't have to cover this cost, for example.
Yep.
One thing that we are starting to see as well is that there are more people asking for more deposits. So instead of 2 rents, they are asking for 4 or 6 deposits of rent. This is regarding to the question of the security that the landlord needs to have, since you are not, since you don't have funds in Portugal, although you can have a bank account that doesn't, at the landlord's eyes, you can close it and go to another country. So this is a trend that we are seeing, that the ask for more deposits is increasing, basically. One thing that we ask once we do an offer, this is something that I say to clients very often, that is, once we find an apartment that you like, the offer has to be sent immediately, like the soon as possible, because they have so many options to choose from, that they can say, I don't want this person because they have a dog, or I don't want this person because I didn't like his face. It's very extreme, but it's true. They have so many options to choose from that sometimes I had a landlord that chose our offer because we were the first to put it. Mm-hmm. So we have to send it right away. And along with the offer, since there is no guarantor, we have to provide financial proof. This means we will ask for your tax returns, some bank statements, pay slips. We have to prove your financial capacity in order to provide, along with the offer, some assurance to the landlord. Regarding how long does it take to find an apartment, which is a very common question we have, to simply put it is this way: it depends on the budget. If your budget is big, we can find an apartment quickly. If your budget is low, it takes more time. It's essentially on the budget. In regarding if there is any time of the year where the prices are more accessible, no, because there's the housing market is not affected for the seasons. The only region where you can see some changes is in Algarve, but Algarve is a very different location from any other of Portugal because of the tourist effects. We have many apartments for short-term rentals in Algarve. So we can see the prices getting affected by the season. if it's in the summer, we see the prices going up, but that's the only case and is for short-term rentals. So from what we've seen, the prices are only going up. There's not any sign that they will decrease. And there is no time of the year where we can say this is better for you to buy or this is better for you to rent. This for this I will pass for where should I buy or rent my future home. Lisbon and Porto has the biggest demand, but the prices here are very high, and I ask the clients to be prepared for that, especially Lisbon. So the county of Lisbon, not the district itself, but the county is even higher than the district. But everything is with hot demands and with high prices. You can get a one-bedroom apartment for less than 1,000. Outside Lisbon, in the suburbs, you cannot. Even here in Lisbon and all over the country, we have seen that the other cities and other regions are getting some attention, and the prices are increasingly high all over the country. So less than 1,000 euros for whatever region that you are looking for is considered a low budget. Unfortunately, the situation is a bit like this. In Algarve, I already mentioned it, very popular, big demands, and with low offer due to the short-term rentals. There's a lack of offer super high in Algarve. It's a tough region because of this. We are seeing Silver Coast getting some attention, Figueira da Foz, Caldas da Rainha, Aveiro, and other small cities like Tomar, Santarém. These are getting attention, and not as big as Lisbon and Porto, but they're getting attention. The services, we have services and transport, but I will say that the transport can be not as effective as the main cities in Lisboa or Porto. And for people who are looking for a more countryside vibes and want to go to, for example, Alentejo, and have a quieter lifestyle, the interior is a great option. However, you have to have a car, and the services are low. Services and transport, you have to have a car to, for example, if you live in Cartacho, if you want to go to the hospital, you have to go to Santarém. So it's like 40 kilometers or something. So there is a fear lack of transport and services. So you definitely have to have a car if you decide to go to Alentejo, Costa Vicentina, that is closer to, there's where you find Porto Covo, Mil Fontes, beautiful regions, but a car is a must-have. If you don't, you will have some troubles. By this, where you can be found, we have 2 delegations in Lisbon and in Porto. However, we will go to every part of the country. There's the depending on the region, there's a dislocation fee that is associated. In Lisbon, we can count on Carla and me to help you, and in Porto, we have Anna and Ivana. We will look at your cases personally, and we will do everything in our power to make sure that we find the perfect home for you. And I believe that's the end of my presentation, but I'm ready for some questions. So
brilliant. Superb. Great job, Carolina. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for your questions, Frank and Peder. That you make some good points there. I'll come back to those in just a moment. Let's make sure we've said hello to everyone who's here this evening. And just to pick up on any questions, if you prefer to ask a question after the recording is completed, feel free to do so if you've got a more personal question. Or what some people sometimes think are silly questions that they don't want recorded. That's fair enough. You can ask that after we've stopped recording. I want to go to, say hello to Barak, who's newly in the country. Well done, Barak. We've seen your journey unfold, so congratulations to you. And well done, Sean. I became a premium member this week. A lot of people took advantage of the Black Friday deal, so well done everybody who did that, who picked up on that bargain there after Thanksgiving. From Florida, this topic is very timely for me, says Debbie. As very soon, I need to procure an annual lease in Coimbra for my January VFS appointment. So, Debbie, good timing for you. If you have any questions, do pop them in the chat. With David, I'm in the UK. The weather, I'll give you one guess. Okay, it's only raining here in Portugal. It's always good to find out what's going on elsewhere in the world. For example, there in the UK, I'm guessing it's cold and wet. Very cold in eastern Pennsylvania with Nikita. Cold and dry for a change in Wales. And I think somebody had some snow, didn't they? Or they've got Pismo Beach in California and Shepperton, south of Heathrow. Maria, I know it well. Part of the British film industry, I think. There, I bet Calgary's cold. Good evening to you, Gail. Phyllis in South Florida. And a really, 5 inches of snow in New Mexico. Sorry, I have to use a computer without camera or microphone. It's currently snowing here, and we have about 5 inches already. So I'm quite pleased that I asked. It's only a little bit rainy here, and it's very mild here in Portugal. Like Gilda says Rebecca, only she who attempts the ridiculous achieves the impossible. Now, that's the point here. What Kaza Portuguesa are doing, I think, for many people is the impossible. From where people are, and I was going to ask you the question, Carolina, about, how many people are in the country, how many people are using this service from abroad. You said 90%, right, of people who are not in the country. 9 out of 10?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
For the renting, because of the VFS, most of our clients are abroad.
Yep.
So when we have clients that want to buy a house, they usually come to see the houses for themselves. But the majority of the time, the clients are abroad. I would like to add something that I forgot to mention.
Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
I saw here a question regarding, we are looking at the East Algarve. Is there an upfront fee associated with the service? So I would like to clarify something. Sometimes, since we have 2 delegations, what we do is we ask videos to the landlords or to the real estate agencies from places like Algarve or something. And what we do is we ask them the videos and we send them to the clients and we'll send them the distances and everything. The dislocation fee is associated once the client needs us to really go there to see the apartments. And like, we trust the video, but we prefer you to come to see with your eyes, and we will say, okay, that's not a problem, we will do that for sure. So don't be afraid to ask us to see houses in Algarve, Alentejo, because we will provide the videos to you. So don't be afraid to choose those regions. They're important to have people, because we are having much concentration on the littoral, and we need also growth on the interior of Portugal. So don't be afraid to choose those locations as well.
Thank you for addressing that. Yeah, and for those folks who are out of the country, I think you are achieving the impossible for them. It is very difficult, and I think that's why these webinars are so important as well. This is a touch point for people who are in the United States or elsewhere in the world, and this is a weekly connection with what's going on here in Portugal, as you are, as Kaza Portuguesa, sending those videos and talking to people around the world. What if then, says Frank, and Peda is part of this same point, what if I don't want to rent? Is it possible to buy a house or flat before the visit to the VFS office? And absolutely, says Peda, surely buying seems like the best option. So yes, that makes sense. But what are the pros and cons of buying before you come, as opposed to or compared with renting? Because of course, we've said before, if you rent, you can move again, can't you, after you've got here, and you can have a first year of looking around the country. If you buy, it's a little bit more difficult to move. So what would you say about the pros and cons of buying versus renting, Carolina?
I always, when the client is here, if he's secure of the house he saw, buying is always a good alternative. It's a good solution, because the renting prices are increasingly high, and we don't see a change in the future. So if the client has confidence in the house that he saw, and he feels comfortable with the buying, I advise the buying, of course, if he feels comfortable with that, because that's important for them to come. We had a client, the one in Coimbra, we bought a house, and he presented the deed in his VFS appointment.
Okay.
He looked, he was fine. He already knew Coimbra. He looked at the location, he loved it, and he said, I want to buy it. And we said, okay, that's preferable to you, because at the end you will pay less per month than with a lease, especially because once you rent an apartment per year, the landlord can increase the rent. By law, there's a percentage, I believe it's 2%, according to the inflation. They can add this value annually. So once you buy, and depending on the tax,
On the interest
the
rate.
variable you choose, if you want a variable or a fixed tax, it's always a good option to buy if you feel comfortable to do it.
Very good. And if you've bought your place, you could become a landlord too, potentially, for somebody else looking for a rental. There is that as well. What about timescales there? If you choose to buy, I mean, sometimes it can be very complicated and a lengthy process to buy. Is it easier to rent from a timescale point of view, or is that not a problem?
So the lease agreement, in terms of timing, the lease is faster because you can do that in a week. Sometimes buying can take more time because you have to do the promissory and sales agreements, and then we will do the deed. All of this has some time to do, because sometimes we have the people staying living in the apartment and they have some time to leave. So renting is faster than buying, but with the right time frame, we can do it all.
Yeah, very good. And of course, I'm sure you advise people on the best kinds of properties and property situations to buy, because sometimes you hear of people buying something from a plan and there can be delays, and you don't want that sort of delay, do you, when you've got a VFS appointment coming up? So I'm sure you can help people from that point of view as well with all the timescales. You mentioned helping somebody in Coimbra. Debbie's asking, which of those would I contact for a rental in Coimbra? So yeah, it's kind of halfway. Should Debbie get in touch with you, Carolina, on that?
Yes. Coimbra is closer. I believe it's closer to Lisbon than Porto.
Yes.
So yes, with us.
All right, excellent. There you go, Debbie. Any more questions, let us know in the chat. A bit of feedback here for you, Agilda and team, from Rebecca. Really appreciate your customer-focused approach to housing and more. Certainly that came across in what you were saying there, in what your mission is in how you run Kaza Portuguesa there, Carolina. It's people like you who push back on just doing the minimum for new immigrants who make a world of difference for people like me moving to a new country where we don't speak the language very well nor understand local customs, and what is available in one area over another, like Carolina M is describing right now. What you do is super important and appreciated. Thank you. Isn't that lovely to hear? So I think you should cut and paste that and share that with the rest of your team tomorrow. Excellent stuff. And feel free to pop that up on the Expats Portugal testimonials as well with a rating, Rebecca. We are looking at the East Algarve. So you addressed that, didn't you, for Nikita? Brilliant. Jose celebrating a milestone, got the NHR and my Saud numero de utent this week. Congratulations. That is good progress. Hafiz is asking, how many months of rent do you need to pay in advance for a lease? You did cover that, but let's just go back to that. Is it 6 months or 12 months? Is there any security deposit required? Do we need to have a guarantor to find a lease? So Hafiz must have come in a little bit late there. You did cover that. And of course, this will be available again to view on Sunday from 6 o'clock. But could you just repeat the answer to that question, please?
Yes. So in terms of rents in advance, the landlords usually ask 6. There are some that ask for 1 year in advance, and we advise the clients for rents in advance plus 2 for deposit. Although we are becoming to see that many landlords are asking for a bigger number of deposit rents. Regarding the buying, in terms of deposit, it varies. I believe it can vary within the real estate agency, but the common for the deposit once you buy is 10%. Sometimes it can be higher. Okay, thank you for that. Hafiz, that should help. There's also the recording, as I say, which will be available from Sunday evening. Goodness gracious, Gail, -3 in Calgary. Phyllis, thank you for your question. We've moved from renting to buying and wondered how best to find out the monthly fees for some buildings that we like.
That can be covered in a conversation with you. I mean, you can do a consultation call as well with people, can't you, Carolina, about that sort of thing? So, yep, give Carolina a call on that, Phyllis. Where can I find, asked JC, a good resource to learn about lease agreements, tenant rights, landlord rights, cancellations, rent increases? The law, I'm guessing it's published somewhere on the internet. It must be, mustn't it, by Portuguese law? They have to publish all the laws. You're going to struggle to find and understand that, I would have thought, JC. But where is that, Carolina?
We can also provide a legal consultation to clarify all those odds.
Yep. So there you go, JC. That's probably the easiest way. As it was.
Yes, because this is in our civil code.
Yep.
So it's not like in a place that you can see straight away.
Okay. All right.
Maybe it's a good idea for us to prepare a document like that.
Yes. What with the
Carolina, can you take notes of what the client wants, and so we can prepare something like that, a document like that?
Very good. At a glance, the legals regarding this situation. But as Rebecca was saying, it's not just the law, is it? It's the local customs and how people operate and interpret the law, which is something you have to bear in mind. Just knowing the law, I think, in Portugal is not enough in its own right. It's helpful to know, I guess, but you need somebody who knows what they're doing on the ground here in Kaza Portuguesa. Certainly that. Let's have a look. Where did we get to? That was JC asking that. Meira, what's the process if someone invites you to come to stay with them as proof of residency for the D7 visa? Oh, we didn't cover that, did we? And isn't it amazing how things have changed over the last few years? You used to be able to have an Airbnb booking, didn't you, for this sort of thing? Not anymore. And we don't talk so much about staying with other people now, do we? The people who will give you a place to stay and sign a statement to do so. Is that still an option?
Yes, it does. It's a term of responsibility. Only it has much more requirements as it used to have. So it has one official document from, well, it used to be from CEF. I suppose that IMA now has these specific documents. The person needs to have or own property or a rental agreement. That rental agreement must have a clause that it doesn't allow subletting, so it can be subletting, so that this person can go there. There is a lot of certifications that must be done from the documentation of this person that is signing the signature of this person needs to be recognized. So many things like that. Even for the term of responsibility, many things have changed.
Yeah, and I suppose part of that's changed because it was being abused, presumably, as well.
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay, it happens, doesn't it? So a couple more questions before we end the recording here, and we can get around to the people who wanted to ask off air, as it were, their questions, their personal questions. Gail asked, would a budget of 1,200 to 1,500 euros be sufficient for renting a one-bedroom apartment in Setúbal? What is the typical upfront payment on that? So first part of that question, do you think 1,200 to 1,500 in Setúbal is about right, Carolina, for a one-bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. And it would depend, wouldn't it, on the particular circumstances of the landlord, how much they want upfront?
Yeah, it depends. Again, they usually ask for 6.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Approximately 6 up front there, Gail. Laronda, this is a great question. How easy or difficult is it to find rooms, shared housing for people 50 plus? It's starting to look like that may be my only other option. If I don't want to wait another year or two so I can put more money aside, and then it'll be more expensive. Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one, that, isn't it? A bit of a catch-22 in a way. Shared accommodation. Can you help people in shared accommodation, multiple occupation?
Yes, we sometimes we have some clients that have a low budget, and the only option we can find is a room. So we a room contract there. It's possible for the VFS appointment. Okay. And I believe can be harder depending on the region. Yep. Because in Lisbon, I believe there's more diversity on that. And it's just a matter of searching. It's not impossible.
Okay, I think that's going to become a more popular option generally as well as the market is changing. That's my guess. Couple more then. Thank you for this point, Jerry. Don't forget that premium members can enjoy a 10% discount on Kaza Portuguesa fees. So that helps as well. Thank you for all your thanks that are coming in for Carolina's presentation and Gilda's contributions this evening. Let's just ask this question before we stop the recording, because it's a good one. Gail, what legal protection is there for rental security deposits? If you're paying money from overseas and you want to secure a place, you want some security. How does that work, Carolina?
That's in the contract. So all the information regarding the payments is in the contract, and by law we have all those articles that defend the tenants. And one of the things that the contract stands for is that the money of the deposits will be given back at the end once the lease ends. So that's covered in the contract, all the payments and how they're made.
Very good, and protected by Portuguese law. Very good. Okay, so let's conclude there. Is there anything else you want to add, Carolina, at this point?
At this moment, I don't recall a thing that I would like to add, but Gilda, would you like to add something?
Yes, let's ask Gilda, because it must be very satisfying to see Kaza Portuguesa in operation, helping so many people. Gilda, turns out you were right with this crazy idea you had a few years ago, so congratulations on that. Last words from you then for this part of the recording.
Yes, I would like to clarify something that it's important for the subject of this webinar. And for the days that we are living now. The promissory rental agreement for buying a house, it's okay to be shown for the VFS and for the consulate to get a visa. It's acceptable, okay? Although it's not acceptable to the change of address for the NHR.
Oh, okay, good point. Thank you for that.
Because many people applied for the visa with these promissory purchase agreements, and now they are asking us to use these promissory contracts to go and change the address in the tax office, and they don't accept it. So they need to get a rental agreement for that.
Okay, so make sure they're covered from that point of view. Thank you, Gilda. Jerry, I think you wanted to add something before we stop the recording.
Yes, thank you, Carl. I would just like to add one thing. At Expats Portugal, we're constantly doing consultations with people, and a point that often comes up is why should I pay fees to someone like Kaza Portuguesa when I could go and search out the property myself? And I think that this needs to be considered in terms of the time and possibly as a trip that might need to be done, and a week spent here just to look at properties, and then probably still need some expert advice when it comes to the contract and so on. And if you look at it on that basis, it's really good value for money.
Well said.
And I just wanted to make that point because it's something that comes up to us occasionally, and you know, we like to clarify that.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, it still comes up. I mean, people think they can rock up in Portugal, go into the nearest cafe and say, is there anywhere to rent to live around here? And it all just, I mean, maybe 10 years ago, but it's not like that anymore, as Carolina pointed out very well earlier on. Carolina, you wanted to add something?
Yes, please. One thing, Jerry was mentioned, when you come to see apartments, what I would like to cause attention is, once you start to view, it's to move with an offer. So be ready to make an offer once you see the apartment, because the market is changing so fast that if you like an apartment, you have to take the opportunity. And if you come to Portugal to see by yourself and along with us, prepare to, once we do the visits, do the offer right away, because if you don't, you might lose the house.
So move
That's my
quickly. I mean, the key message is there then, get help in this very competitive environment. And once you have got that help, move quickly to secure what you need to move to Portugal. Thank you very much, Carolina, Gilda. Thank you for that. Those extra comments there, Jerry. Let's stop the recording there.